Welcome to Student of the Game podcast, where we help you master the fundamentals, fall in love with practice, and win at the game of life. I'm your host, Brad Noll. Welcome to the classroom. Welcome back to another episode of Student of the Game. I am so excited today. Tiffany Ham, you are amazing. You are on our team, Noll Team Real Estate. We met a long time ago, but you have an interesting backstory, and it is really important that the listeners get to hear a little bit about who Tiffany Ham is today. So welcome to the show.
Hi, so great to be here. Thank you for having me.
The reason it's really important for you to hear about Tiffany's story is two things today. I want you to hear, number one, how her past has set her up for her present. You know, the work you're doing today, definitely you're a student of the game. And I think that student means a little more to you than it does to most people. You've got a background in education, don't you?
Yes, I am a teacher that I have a master's degree in teaching, taught in high school and a professor in college also. So I've done both avenues that way.
So this is a podcast a lot of small business owners listen to, a lot of people listen to. I mean, if you're not a small business owner, this is still a podcast for you because we talk about winning in the game of life. And in this episode, we want to talk specifically about internships. At Noll Team Real Estate, over the last several years, we've had multiple interns. We've had mostly high school interns, and now we have a college intern this summer. And it's something that we believe in, we're passionate about. And when we have goals on our team, one of the things that I ask team members is I want them out there doing the four things. And the four things that all realtors on our team need to be doing is build relationships, list homes, show homes, and negotiate deals. Those are the four things that our realtors need to do. But one of the things we've found that has been just instrumental in our growth is if we have a goal as a company, there's usually somebody on our team that has a skill set or a gift that aligns with that. And there's no better person to talk about our internship program than Tiffany. So why don't you mentioned you've got your master's, you mentioned you're teaching in high school and being a professor in college, but walk us through your journey from the classroom to the world of real estate. What was that like? When did you switch, and what was that transition like for you in your life?
Sure. So one of the things I taught was actually housing and interior design. I was a family consumer science teacher, but I also taught a class called cadet teaching. And that basically was an internship program. So kids that thought that they might want to be teachers, I lined them up with a teacher in the school district, and they went and basically shadowed, and they had to participate and see if teaching was a thing that they wanted to do. I loved that class. It was my favorite class because some kids came back and said, I don't want to be a teacher after this. I'm so glad I did this. I didn't go to college, waste my money, waste my time. But I also gained a lot of valuable skills being in the classroom. It's just not for me. However, I have so many students out there that are still teaching. My daughter's one of them, actually. And it's just great because she felt like she had a leg up when she went to college on a lot of people who had never stepped in a classroom yet. So I'm very passionate about it. Around 2018, 2017, Ball State recruited me to go there and kind of build up their family consumer science program, the teachers. So I went there, and as I was there, I was actually in the area where they had real estate, like real estate was in there. And I just kept asking people questions and everything. I finally turned to my husband, I said, I think I was supposed to do this a long time ago, and I want to do it. And he goes, do it. So I did it in 2018. I'm so glad I did it. I think transitioning from the classroom to real estate actually wasn't as hard because I do feel like with first-time home buyers, I feel like I am educating them with the process of home buying. I also think all the skills I learned in teaching transfer very easily into real estate. So problem solving, negotiating, all that kind of thing.
Well, one of the first things that we like to do when we get a buyer is set up a buyer consultation where we actually teach them the process of buying a home. We talk about in real estate a lot that we're experts in the process. We're not experts in contracts, experts in construction. Those are tools and skills we learn along the way, but our expertise is actually in the process. So how fun is it for you to take, let's just say, a young couple and teach them about owning their first home?
I love it. I love it so much. I just had actually one of my former students just closed on a house last week with me. And she said, I just couldn't imagine having anyone else. I knew that you would help lead us along. And it's a big honor, and I love it so much.
Well, you do a great job. And before we get into our internship program, I think it's important that, people understand who we're talking to. And, Tiffany, you've got a great background in serving others. One of your, biggest attributes is helping other people. And, Lindsay and I had this exact same conversation when she was in nursing. And by the way, teaching in nursing, and what the teachers and nurses had gone through during COVID, I think is something that a lot of people were looking to switch careers and looking to, do something different, because it's hard. And I think if you understand growing up, like I want to be a teacher or I want to be a nurse, what's really layered behind that is I really want to help other people. Mm-hmm. And nursing and teaching is kind of where people kind of, push you or guide you into. And it's hard not to look at real estate as like, well, I'm not a salesperson. I don't want to be a salesperson. I don't want to convince anybody of anything. No. And I think the thing you're so good at is you're good at educating people about the process, which is one of the things that, we specialize in. So you talked about, the complex ideas, coaching other people, managing chaos, all these skills that transfer to real estate. But here's who we're talking to today. So Tiffany came to me a couple years ago. We're actually working on our 20th anniversary party, and you couldn't be there as like your first month on our team, unfortunately. But you came to me and you pretty much said, I'm looking for accountability. I'm looking for coaching. I want to grow my business. I'm serious about it. And you had all the training in real estate. You had all the tools. And you're somebody, Tiffany, I know we're talking to a lot of people out there, but I'm going to talk to you right now. You're somebody that the minute I met you, I knew you were a rock star. Like I knew this was the profession for you, because a person like you, once you get you connecting with as many people as we can, you're that person that the minute somebody meets you, they feel like they've been friends for a long time. Mm-hmm. Like you give what the kids say, that you have this aura. The kids say you have aura or something like that. You've got this aura about you. So I want to give you a shout out. But here's Tiffany. In 2025 so far, Tiffany's net income, don't get embarrassed here, Tiffany, this is a good thing. Your net income is up 104% this year. Mm-hmm. So for those of you that, maybe don't do math very well, she's doubled her income from where she was a year ago at this time. And it's not because you had a goal of selling more homes. It's not because you had a goal of making more money. I truly believe you have a goal of serving more people. Mm-hmm. And you're doing that in a big way. So what better person than to take over and to trust our intern program than somebody who's a former teacher, has her master's, has been a professor, who's a thriving realtor. Who else better than Tiffany Ham to take over our intern program? Let's talk about our intern program a little bit, mm-hmm. But really the passion you have to help others grow and how that's showing up. So Tiffany, talk about our intern program, a little bit about the conversations you and I have had leading up to where we're at today.
I think one of the great things is that what a lot of people might be afraid of is that, I don't want to have to babysit, or I don't have to. It's not that. It's actually young minds, especially with how they are with technology, we need them. We need them mm-hmm. now more than ever. And I just think that I've already learned so much from Michael. He's amazing. And he created like this whole list for us real estate agents, how to use AI in our business. And he gave up this mm-hmm. wonderful list for us. And that they're giving back to us, but hopefully we're also giving back to him. I gave him feedback on his first few projects he did with us. And it was so great because he was so open for it. He wasn't hesitant to listen to any feedback. He wanted to learn and grow. And I just think it's such a great program all around.
I agree. And we're going to talk about the nuts and bolts of it. We're actually going to have Michael on as a guest on our next episode. And we're going to talk to him about AI and business analytics and data and kind of what he's learning and what he's working on. And hopefully we can help you small business owners with a little bit of AI and the buzzwords that's out there so that you're not scared about it. But the fundamental, we talk about mastering the fundamentals, and what's fundamental about an intern program is the purpose and the community involvement that we desire. I always joke with Lindsay, as a nurse, she likes watching all the nursing programs, and, they say Grey's Anatomy is a teaching hospital, right? Like there's a bunch of residents that go through that hospital, and, shout out to all you nurses. And that's just we want to be a teaching real estate company. We want to be a real estate company where one of our core values is to grow constantly. And the best way to learn is what? To teach. Right. And so this internship needs to be a win-win movement in helping younger generations understand more about the real estate business. So the why behind our intern program, it was really born out of a desire to give young people a shot at learning what a high performing real estate team does and the inner workings of a small business, because we're not just real estate. There's a lot of small business stuff here.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
A lot of people finish college and don't know how to run a business. They don't know how to sell homes or what real estate looks like. A lot of people go to college, don't know what they want to study even. And Tiffany, talk a little bit about how we use our core value of grow constantly to bring interns in, and the things that we can teach them.
It's all about giving back too. It's like when with young people, they're doing real world learning. So that's hands-on. It's hands-on. It's so different than when you have a textbook and they're like, okay, write a few sentences about how great real estate is or what you learn as a real estate agent. When you actually bring the classroom to them and they are learning firsthand knowledge, they're gaining so much more than they would from a textbook. So you can't put that, they call it project-based learning in high school. It's getting kids, they're doing it more and more. The problem is that so many people are afraid because it's an undertaking. You know, you're taking someone on. It's not just easy. I created like a performance rubric for Michael, so he understands like what is expected of him. And
okay,
that way,
time out. I don't want to interrupt, but you just
Okay.
you just said a word that's foreign to me, and I don't know if anybody else understands. What's a rubric? Explain what a rubric is.
So, back in the early 70s and 80s, kids would get a grade. They would get a report card and it'd have an A or a B on it, and you have no idea how you got it. Maybe from worksheets, from tests, whatever. Right now, anytime someone has a performance or they have a project that they have, you break it down into small chunks. It's called scaffolding. Then students know exactly what they need to do to get an A. They know what they need to get a B. It's laying it out there what they need to get a certain grade. That way they know what's expected of them. By the way, can you imagine if businesses had this for their employees? If you went in there and you knew, okay, if I'm going to get a bonus this year, this is exactly what I need to do. That's exactly what a rubric is. By the way, I think a lot of business owners could learn a lot from teachers. Just
Absolutely.
saying.
Absolutely. As long as you're a student of the game.
As long as you're a student of the game, because it really does help get what you want. You know how you would always have that employer that would get upset and you're not doing what is expected. Well, what is expected? It's a lot of ambiguity where this breaks it down and they know exactly what to expect. So I did that with Michael. He loves it. He loves seeing exactly what he needs. So he knows what's expected of him. And then we went through it and you and I went through it to give him his different points. And then I talked to him about it and it was just great to be able to do that. And he handled it so well. And that's just something, if he goes on to any kind of profession, he will now always have experiences like this. Like I know he knows questions to ask. He knows the feedback he's going to get from employers. It's just a great building opportunity. If
you're a teacher or professor and you're listening to this and you have some students that want to inquire about our intern program, please reach out, because these are the things that, this is hard for us to promote. Like, we don't put an ad somewhere, we don't publicly promote this as much as we should. But I will say, one of the things of having an intern program is there's definitely a win-win. We are benefiting from it. The school's benefiting, the university's benefiting from it. The student obviously is benefiting from it. And with this rubric, with this path, what you're now saying, Tiffany, what I heard you say was, because I was a C student, had I had a rubric, it would have been like, well, that was your choice. You knew what you had to do to get a C, and you knew what you had to do to get a B, and you chose the C.
Exactly.
So, that's such a great path for people to get. Talk about the confidence that gives kids.
It's an amazing confidence. For one, he's learning adult conversation, that, these crucial conversations you have in the workforce. Like, for instance, let's say here's an example. I'm a person, when I'm at a work setting, I like to close the door. I like to get my stuff done, However, that doesn't work in every work environment, because there are people that you do need to connect with at your job. So that's on the rubric. Are you connecting with people at the office? Are you representing and being professional in your attire and how you move and how you do things? All that stuff will carry on for him as he goes forward. He's learning just what kind of is expected in the professional world. And that's not something you learn in a classroom. It's not. I can say that as a teacher. Yes, you learn about respect, you learn all that, but you're not learning about representing a particular business. How does your social media look? Are you representing your company every time you post something? Yes, you are. So you need to be very careful about what you put out there. These are things that I think the internship program really will help and benefit them in the future.
Yeah, and I'll share some stories later in the podcast about some previous interns and some things that they've done for us that are still ringing true to this day. The things that I've used to help grow our business. There's some interns that have really moved the needle, and that's exciting to see.
Yeah.
One of the things that people, I think, when we get asked like, "Hey, do you do an internship or would you do an internship?" A lot of times people think like we just do internships on real estate, and yes, that's our primary business. But no, there's so much more to that. I mean, we're running a business. One of the things that I'm passionate about, and I tell people this all the time, like I didn't go to business school. I don't have a master's degree except from the locker room. I learned teamwork, communication, leadership, hard work, all of the things that it takes to grow and run a business. I learned that in the locker room. And we have an opportunity here to help people learn more about business than just real estate in general. Like I made a list of some of the things that we're teaching here. We're teaching business management, business administration. We have marketing. We obviously have the sales. We have data and AI now, relationship marketing, which is totally different than traditional marketing. We have database management. There's all of these areas that if we spend a semester or two helping the youth understand, they could pretty much, I believe, they could pretty much start any business they wanted to with some of the things. Why don't you talk a little bit about some of the projects that Michael's on, that he's working on right now? And this is evergreen content. So if you're listening to this a year from now, we're probably not working on this project anymore. We're doing something different. But as of right now, Michael's our intern from the University of South Florida. He's a Homestead grad. He's a Fort Wayne kid and doing a great job for us. But talk a little bit about some of the projects he's working on for us so that you as a student, if you want to join and do an internship, here are some things that you might be working on.
So a couple things like analyze compensation, the cost per transaction. So how much are we spending? Agent scorecards, which that's kind of a Noll Team thing, but it's basically taking our stats and putting it together and knowing where we're hitting, if we're hitting our marks. Update annual reports, automate the 12-month follow-up, AI storage and intel inspections, offer structure. So he can look at the previous inspections, the age of the house, and basically things that we should worry about maybe at that certain age of house because of things that were going on. I mean, that's huge. That's a
huge.
Yeah.
This is going to be a game changer. I mean,
it is.
If you're listening to this, we're going to interview Michael next, or on the next episode, you're going to hear him talk about these projects in detail. But I've said a lot on this podcast that, again, my knowledge has come from the locker room. So we run this team like a sports organization, and in sports, data is really important. And if you're an intern, you want to be an intern, you're going to learn this. You're going to learn how important it is to be accountable. The first person you have to be accountable with is yourself. You have to know, what does winning look like for me every single day? And then as you build that out, and then there's a team involved and you're managing people and you're understanding leadership, now you have to understand, okay, what data sets, what do I need to be focused on? What do I need to manage as a group of people? And so he's actually helping, you talk about the agent scorecards, he's helping us build almost like a dashboard where we can see how the entire team is doing. And then we can break it down into the individual, how the individual's doing. Are they ahead or behind of their goals for the year? Are they ahead or behind of the connections? You've heard us talk about the relationships win framework, and we track connections. We got to connect with people. We got to build relationships. He's helping us understand this. When you get multiple people on the team, people need coached in different spots in different areas of their lives. And he's actually highlighting where the gaps are, and then also where the gains are, where people are winning. Student of the Game is brought to you by Noll Team Real Estate. Our mission is to eradicate mediocre real estate transactions. On your largest financial purchase, you shouldn't have to deal with average. We do this by helping you save time, reduce your stress, and helping you keep as much money in your pocket as we can. You can help us out by introducing us to your friends or family who want to make confident real estate decisions, whether buying, selling, building, or investing. At Noll Team Real Estate, we are connected to a group of realtors who sell 1 in every 8 homes in North America. If you know someone moving out of your area, there's a great chance we can connect them to somebody we know, like, and trust. Remember, relationships win. Now back to the show. I know, Tiffany, it's fun to kind of see. I mentioned early in the podcast that you're winning this year, but sometimes when you're winning, you don't know necessarily why you're winning.
Right.
Has it helped to see your scorecard and your data to show you exactly why you're winning? It's almost like a performance rubric with sales. It's like, hey, this is what winning looks like. Go do more of that. How has that been helpful for you?
By far, so much. Like, just my connections with people have increased by 12 or 13 a week than I did last year. And so that right there tells you, get in front of people, get connected. I joined a couple of book clubs. I've been going to things. A lot of people don't know this about me. I'm an introvert. I have to force myself to go out into public and do things. So it's been hard. It's been challenging, but I found now that the more I'm doing it, it's not as hard because now it's like, okay, this is what you do. You want this for your family. You want to help people. You have to get out there. You have to get out there in the trenches. So,
well, we talk about this a lot when it comes to business and sales. A lot of times, if this is the law of the go-giver. So one of my favorite books is The Go-Giver, and one of the laws is the law of compensation. And it says your compensation is directly tied to the amount of people you serve. And so if you reverse engineer that and you just say to yourself, I want to serve a lot of people this year. Okay, this is how many people I want to serve. And then you look at it from that lens. I think, Tiffany, that's where, you've really grown this year, is to say, okay, I'm not going to make this about my sales. I'm going to make this about serving people. And you just mentioned it. I'm going to go serve X amount of more people per week. Oh, and by the way, now you're helping with more people going through lifestyle changes who need to make a change in their housing, right?
Okay, I have a funny sales story that I have to tell you about.
Go for it.
Okay, so I actually, one of my first jobs out of high school was at a department clothing store. And they were really big on numbers. You have to get this many, you want this many accessories with everything,
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is not me. This is not me. I was really struggling. So one day a lady walks in there and she comes out of the dressing room and she's wearing the most hideous outfit. She put together the worst outfit combination I've ever seen in my life. She walks out, excuse me, miss, what do you think of this outfit? And I go, I'm sorry, I'm a truthful person. That outfit is not working for you. It's just not the right thing. It's not. She goes, I do this every time I go into a department store. I try on the worst thing ever. And then I ask a salesperson, if they lie to me, I walk out of there. You just told me the truth. She ended up having the biggest sale of the whole time I had been at the store.
Are you serious?
Biggest sale. And she said, I do this. I ended up in the magazine for one of the highest sales in this company's because I was truthful. And so I guess that's kind of goes back when they were pushing the numbers and the sales. That's when my mind shot down. Mm-hmm. But I was out serving her, trying to help her so that she didn't make a bad choice. And that changed the whole thing. So from then on, at that store, I was doing amazing in sales because I looked at it more as helping people, not, the numbers. It's different.
That is amazing. You're giving us a master's degree in selling when it comes to serving. And this is awesome. So you interns that are listening, this is who you're going to be working with. Your instructor, your professor is Mrs. Ham. And I'll tell you what, that's a master's level information on selling. So I love it. I absolutely love it. Another thing we talk about with internships is a lot of people think internships is coffees and copies. Hey, go give me another coffee.
Yes.
Hey, what can I do? Go make another copy of that. Okay, I just made a copy. What I do? Just go make another copy of the other copy.
Yes. Yeah. The grunt work, the things that no one wants to do. That's such a disservice to you as the business owner and a disservice to them. You will learn so much from them if you give them just a little bit of opportunity. I personally think the best business owners are people that know that they're not the smartest people in the room, that they will want to surround themselves with even smarter people in the room and where they can learn and grow. And I know you can gain so much wealth of knowledge from the youth.
One of my favorite things, and I love that. I'll add to that a little bit. One of the things that I love that we do here is not make this just about a real estate internship. Like if someone wants to learn real estate, I don't think there's a better place in our market to learn real estate than with us. But I also think the business side of things too, and how we can connect the dots. I think connecting the dots is really important, right? I always think about Karate Kid, and you paint the fence and you sand the cars or you wash the cars, you do all this stuff, and then you realize that at the end of the internship, you just learned how to take down, the evil competitor, I guess. We've done
Mr.
things
Miyagi was my favorite teacher.
Isn't that great?
He's my favorite.
He's amazing.
Mhm.
The kids today don't recognize how good that movie was. But we've had interns do our birthday cards and our home anniversary cards. We've had our interns help us with our 12-month follow-up. We've taught them the relationships win framework about how yes, this note card going out to somebody may not have done anything today, but the consistent habitual process of one after the next builds this business to then something that we now can have interns. And interns, by the way, I back to your point about being honest, I'm going to be honest now. Having interns is hard.
Mm-hmm.
Having interns takes time. Mm-hmm. Having interns, you actually have to kind of get out of today and you have to rise above your current circumstances. Like if you're busy right now and you're like, I don't even have time for an intern. Well, guess what? You're never going to have time for an intern if that's kind of your mindset. And so what we've done is we've carved out extra time. We've put a lot of thought into this. What do we need, right? As an organization, what do we need? How can an intern help us? Mm-hmm. How can we help that intern? Talk about some of the soft skills that interns develop, whether it's punctuality, communication. You alluded to it on the rubric a little bit.
Yeah, total. Punctual. Yeah, you said that. Dressing professionally, the social media aspect. Just learning business manners, learning how to talk, communicate. One of my biggest gripes in high school is I actually had to go through and teach kids how to write an email because sometimes they would write and it sounded like they were mad the way they were writing it, and how to address people in a professional way, how to interact with people that work in the office, timeliness, professionalism as far as writing, just everything. There's so many things. Oh, the list is so long.
Communication.
Communication is the biggest. It's the number one thing. And by the way, I think that's the number one thing most people need to work on.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of times my coaches and I talk about conflicts arise when expectations aren't met.
Yes.
Usually, and this is marriage advice, this is advice for parents, this is advice in the workplace. Conflict arises when expectations aren't met. And the reason expectations don't get met is because of the lack of communication.
Right.
I was just in here with my daughter and she's studying for the real estate exam. She's going to college soon. And, we were talking about her personality and my personality and how, I've done a deep dive onto my personality and who I am. And it's just something that I geek out about it. I'm super interested in it. And the biggest benefit of understanding myself is providing space and grace for other people. Like I'm not wired the same way you are, Tiffany. And you know what? That's the beautiful thing. I think that's how we're supposed to be. We're supposed to create space for each other to live, who they're supposed to be. And so a lot of times when you're bringing on these interns, they don't know enough and maybe haven't done a deep dive on themselves. And so that lack of communication is something that's really important. This is not just a real estate internship. This is a communication internship, right? Mm-hmm. These are all these soft skills that they're going to hope to get. And here's the thing. They may intern, and I think I've said this already, they may intern with us and they may not like real estate. Mm-hmm. And that's actually a good thing too. Talk about the people that do internships that don't end up liking what it is that they intern about.
Yeah. So when I was an intern in a very indirect way with my father. My dad was a lawyer and everyone thought I was going to be a lawyer. So I helped him during the summer. I went to court cases with him and all that. And he said, Tiffany, I really want you to stay. So my secretary is going on vacation for a couple weeks. I want you to come into the office. So he had me do all this stuff. I was doing legal stuff. I was looking through different past history things, all this stuff. And I just realized that my personality, it was not the thing to do. Law was not it. Now, what's funny is that still helped me because what do we do in real estate? We deal with contracts all the time. So I'm still doing some kind of law. So that's the same thing with Michael. Like, let's say he might take one aspect of this internship and that's what he's going to end up doing professionally. and kids that went into the cadet teaching, that's not what they went into. Well, some of them decided, well, you know what? I still like being with kids, but I just don't want to be a teacher. So they became like an occupational therapist or an auditory specialist.
Mm-hmm.
So there's different things you can take from each internship, even if it's not that profession.
Absolutely. One of the things that I'll just say about Michael that all of our interns are going to be required to do is, he researched a project that he worked on and he presented it at a team meeting.
Oh, I love that.
One of our team meetings, he presented. We'll have a team meeting and there'll be 8 to 10 slides on there. We'll put a slide deck together, and one or two of the slides, was his work. He presented to the team some ideas, and we're actually using that today. Another thing that he's doing is once a week or every other week, depending on, he'll send out, here are tips on how to use AI in real estate. And they're just, we don't use all of them, but I tell you what, the thing it does is it just forces you to think from a different place. It forces you to grow, right? Grow constantly. We talk about that as our core value. And those are the things like, if you're listening as an intern, like our hope is you're coming in and you're not just punching a clock, you're learning, and then you're actually teaching. You're teaching us, like, what did you learn? What are your eyes? We talk about having fresh eyes on something. What did your eyes see?
That was one of my favorite team meetings, by the way, when he presented. I just loved it. Yeah. He looked at all of our customer surveys, client surveys that were given out, and he analyzed them. So he showed us what we were doing really well, and then things that we need to work on. That was so important for all of us to get info on. Yeah.
No, so good. Well, actually, we're going to go a little deeper into that when we have Michael on here next week. So we're going to talk about that. There's some practical how-tos on how to use AI. But I just think you gotta think from a different place, right? Like everybody knows AI right now. It's like, hey, write this social media post for me, or I'm thinking about this. What would you recommend? But garbage in, garbage out, good stuff in, good stuff out. Like the better the question, the better the response. And so he's been able to help us with quite a few things. Speaking of interns, I don't know if maybe you know this, but I don't think the audience knows this unless they've listened to Trevor's episode. That Trevor Day started as an intern. Trevor was an intern from Purdue Fort Wayne, from PFW, local university here in town, and reached out to me. We had a mutual friend. He was being mentored by somebody who was a client of mine, and he said, hey, I got this guy in college. He wants to think about real estate. And so we did an internship with Trevor. Did it with PFW. He shadowed me for a day, had to write a report. I had to write a report on him. He came back, on. And now Trevor Day is one of our top salespeople on our team. And to think that he was an intern. So you interns, listen to this right now. Who knows where you're going to go? Who knows what you're going to do? The days are long, but the years are short, and time goes quickly, and you can get a lot done. And hopefully we can provide internship for you so that you can either decide to get into real estate or stay as far away as you possibly can. But I know you're going to benefit from joining the team. So.
Well, especially if you plan on being a homeowner at some point in your life, you'll gain info from that. Absolutely.
Let's talk about the future a little bit. Let's talk about, you mentioned how the career path may not be in real estate, but talk about our team model, our business model of we believe relationships win, right? In the game of life, relationships win. In the game of real estate, relationships win.
Yes.
In your finances, relationships win. Talk about our business model of connecting with people, building genuine relationships, and what have you learned from that? We'll go a little away from the internship right now, and we'll just talk about our business and why do you think your business has increased when you've doubled down on the relationships in your life?
It's about connecting. It's about helping people, meeting them where they are. We're meeting people during very pivotal times in their life, and they want someone that they can trust. It's the largest asset that they spend money on. And I think a lot of people had me as a teacher, and you talked to me about that, about getting them, you're not just a teacher, you're also this. And that definitely helped a lot. My mindset, though, is probably the number one thing that has changed. I actually went with a buyer one time to a house, and he goes, great, other people are showing up. I'm not going to get the house. That person's going to get the house. And I looked at him and I'm like, why do you say that? He goes, it happens to me all the time. He's going to get the house. And I go, I think you need to tell yourself that you deserve the house just as much as that person deserves the house. As I'm saying that, and then in my head, I'm going, Tiffany, it's the same thing. It's a mindset thing. No one is more deserving than anyone else. It's about, if you are out there to help people, then you're out there to help people. And it doesn't matter, no one's more deserving. And I think that's something that I had to get through my head.
Oh, that's perfect. I love it. Mindset is a huge thing. And I think, as we grow, we talk about personal growth and development on this podcast a lot, and we talk about mindset a lot. And then once you get down that path of mastering your mindset, which is very important, I think the next chapter, the next area for growth is your heart set. Like, what's the posture of your heart, right? And so for us, I think we've gotten to this place of our mindset is, we have to have a certain mindset to thrive in business. And business is hard. If you're listening to this, you're probably somebody that does hard things. If you're listening to this, you're probably somebody who's going through something hard right now. And what we want to do is provide hope. We want to provide hope and a space to give you some ideas, a fresh perspective on how we utilize our mindset to grow, just like you've done, Tiffany, and then to take it to the next step of changing your heart. And for us, the heart is, we want to help impact the next generation. We want to help. We want to help teach the next generation about business, specifically about real estate, but in business in general as well. Tiffany, a couple of questions as we close here. What's your hope for our intern program? What do you think this intern program can be?
My hope is that for us, that we are giving back to the youth, that we are constantly thinking of new things that we can provide to them, and in turn, that we stay open, that we are open to learning from them, and that we are learning and growing from them, and that it become like a relationship isn't one-sided. So an internship isn't one-sided. This is a two-sided thing. I'm hoping that I've already seen from our team, I know what Michael's brought to the team, that I've already grown from him and having him here. And I want that from every single intern that we have. And I want them to feel the same way. I want them, when they think back on the Noll team, it's a pleasant memory for them. Like, I learned so much from that. And that's just a big thing for me. There's nothing better than that.
I think you summed up all of our core values in that one statement. So, I'm agreeing 100% with what you're saying. If there's a young person or a parent listening right now, what should they know, or what do they need to know to get involved in our intern program?
Definitely reach out to us. It has to work for both of us. Not every personality fits. When we talked to Michael, I knew right away that kid had grit. He has so much grit. I could tell he's just a person that he wants to learn as much as possible. That's the kind of person that we would want, because that's kind of how we are. I think it's important that you just always make sure that the culture stays the same. So reach out. Not everything works. However, we can also connect you to maybe a better fit. Maybe there's another place that would be better. So, the biggest thing is making that call and just reaching out.
Yeah, absolutely. I always, my vision and my dream is that we turn into the Chick-fil-A of real estate. Like, man, I want my kids working at that place, teach them manners and gratitude and, my pleasure. And I think we have that. I know we have that, in our team with our values and our vision, but definitely reach out. There's contact forms on our website. If you can get a hold of Tiffany or myself or David, our office manager, we're more than happy to engage in a conversation. And no, we don't have room for, 15 interns, but in certain seasons, we have more capacity than others, and we work on some really cool and fun projects. So I know we got some fun ones coming up. And if you're a real estate team listening right now and you want more information, or you're a realtor and you're like, that sounds cool, I want to join your team, because we have more firepower than most, because we're willing to grow constantly and take on this intern program that's now providing more ammunition or more confidence or more resources than what you could get elsewhere. So couple other things. Tiffany, closing remarks. You've said it, but I want you to just repeat it. What are the fundamentals that you've gone through this year to have the year that you're having? What's been fundamental?
Fundamental. Well, one, I'm grateful for you. I want you to know that you didn't tell me to say that. I'm saying it because I really mean it.
I receive it.
I'm grateful for you. You pour so much into everyone on the team. You do, everybody. You're a great coach. I just want you to know that. And I thank you so much for that. Last year, I had a really rough year. It was hard. I was really down. And I think I told you in December, I'm going to have the best year yet. Next year is going to be the best year yet. I put it on my vision board. I have it staring at me. And I looked at my vision board the other day. And by the way, I've hit almost every single thing on that vision board. And it's not even all the way through the year yet.
Doesn't surprise me.
And I think that's how we all always have to be. Like we have to remember that our biggest obstacles in our life is always what we're thinking, our scripts
Mhm.
that's running through our mind. We are our biggest obstacle. And I'm just grateful for all of it. I know that everything is ebbs and flows. I know that there will be some hard months. I feel grateful for anything I get, but I also know that I do believe that I am as deserving as anyone else, and I think that's the biggest change.
Yeah. No, it's been huge. So those are the fundamentals. What have you fallen in love with this year? Like, what part of the process have you fallen in love with that you're just like, man, this is where it's at?
I just think I think this is probably everybody. It's someone I hadn't talked to. I'll be honest with you. I got really bad about that. It was a person I helped a few years ago, and she sent me a client. She said, "You want to use Tiffany?" And I hadn't talked to her, and I felt so bad. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." She goes, "Yeah, you don't want anyone else." It's that kind of thing. When someone remembers you and it's been a few years since that's amazing. There's nothing better than someone referring you. Nothing better. You can't tell me anything better than that.
That's
Someone
awesome.
that said, "Hey, you want to use Tiffany as your real estate agent." That's a big deal. And that means everything to me.
That's a fantastic answer. So last question, second to last question. What does winning look like for Tiffany? Like, what does winning in the game of life look like for you? Like, why do you do this? Why do you work so hard?
Taking my family on a trip, helping my family in any way, helping others. I just love it. My mom is the person that serves people more than anyone I know. She has taught me so much about service, and I just want to be anything like her I can. And I do know that I've been able to help people, and I love that. That's nothing better.
That's really cool. Well, number one, I want to highlight you and not just how good of a year you've had, but how good of a person you are. Like you are the epitome of who we want on our team. So if there's a clone of Tiffany out there, please join our team because we need more of Tiffany's around. I also want to have you on this podcast for the obvious reasons because of your background and how you're leading the intern program. I think it's vital that we can continue to build a healthy internship program. I think it's vital that we have great relationships with our schools and universities in the area and that we can continue to serve the next generation. I think that's really important. But as we know, and as we wrap up, we also believe relationships win. The relationships we have with universities, the relationships we have with the students that come here and our interns, the relationships we have with our team members, all of that's vital to moving the needle. All of that's vital to winning at the game of life. And if we believe relationships win, Tiffany, last question of the podcast, the kids say, send them your flowers. Send this person your flowers, meaning give them the accolades. Who's somebody you want to send some virtual flowers to? Who's somebody that is in your corner that's supporting you nonstop that you couldn't be where you're at without this person?
Well, besides my mom, I'm going to say it's definitely my kids. They are my biggest cheerleaders. They're always there for me. I have 4 kids, and I call them the 4 seasons because they were all born in a different season. My 4 seasons and my grandkids. It was funny, Evie, my oldest granddaughter, she goes, "What the heck is a podcast, Gigi?" So I had to explain it. And she was like, "I can't wait to listen to it." And it's just, they're the fuel behind everything. The wind beneath my wings, they're everything. So I couldn't do what I do without them and my husband, for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, it definitely takes a supportive family to be successful because business is hard. Life is hard.
Yes.
All of this is hard. And like the famous coach, Kara Lawson at Duke says, we have to handle hard better. And you're doing that. You're doing a great job, Tiffany. So thank you. This is a podcast about internship. But I know you've learned a little bit about sales. I know you've learned a little bit about what it means to be true to yourself. Tiffany is somebody that when she came to us, I knew she was going to be a rock star, and she had to get across the line of, selling versus serving. And the minute that unlocked in your mind, your business is just taken off. And if you're a past client of Tiffany's, congratulations, because there's not many realtors as good as her that's out there. And if you're somebody who's thinking about buying or selling a home in the near future, you need to be a client of Tiffany's. And so keep up the good work. Thank you for being on the team. Thank you for being on this podcast today, Tiffany.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you for everything. I appreciate it so much.
Absolutely. Well, that's a wrap. This podcast is about our intern program. If you want to learn more about our intern program, if you want to be an intern, reach out. If you're an administrator or a teacher and you want to connect with us, please do. And also, if you're a business owner and you want to build an intern program, we don't have it down. It's not science, but we're working through it, and we're a lot further ahead than we were yesterday. And that's the whole goal, grow constantly. So that's a wrap. Thanks for listening. Student of the Game, have a great week. Thanks for listening to Student of the Game podcast. Whatever game you are playing, I'm cheering for you. See you in the next class.